Far away in the deep galaxy, humans had expanded beyond their homeworld. They had colonies on moons, stations around stars, and fleets moving between planets. But even with all this progress, they were still searching for meaning. In their long journey through space, they discovered many alien cultures, strange machines, and forgotten ruins. Some gave them new tools, some gave them danger. And one day they found something very different, something that was not a weapon or a device. It was an idea. The idea was called Galactic Zen. The aliens who left it behind promised that it would bring peace, strength, and unity to anyone who followed its path. It sounded like the answer to every problem, but hidden inside this promise were dark secrets that no one could see at first. The story begins not with a fleet or a city, but with a single human traveler. His ship was small, almost forgotten among the stars. He was not a great soldier or a famous leader. He was a wanderer, a man who moved from system to system looking for lost signals. That night, his scanners caught something strange, a signal from an old satellite drifting silently near the edge of a dead planet. The satellite was broken, half covered in dust and stone as if it had been sleeping for hundreds of years. The traveler approached carefully. His engines hummed low, his hands steady on the controls. The darkness outside was heavy, but he felt a strange pull as if the satellite wanted to be found. When he docked his ship and entered the satellite, the silence was deep. No air, no movement, only floating debris. He switched on his helmet light. The beam cut through the dust, showing fragments of metal and shattered panels. Then he saw it. A small glowing crystal hidden in the corner of the chamber. He touched it and suddenly the air filled with light. A hologram appeared, flickering and bending as if it came from another age. The figure was not human. Its face was long, its eyes dark, its voice soft but heavy with meaning. The alien hologram spoke in a language that was old but somehow easy to understand. It said, "To embrace galactic Zen is to find ultimate balance. To embrace galactic Zen is to rise above pain and conflict. But beware the cost, for the balance demands more than you can imagine." The traveler froze. He listened again, recording every word. The hologram repeated its message, then faded away. He looked at the crystal in his hand, and for a moment he felt calm, as if the words had touched his mind directly. It was not just a message. It was an invitation. He returned to his ship quickly, his heart beating faster than the engine's pulse. He wanted to tell someone, anyone, about what he had found. But as soon as he stepped back into his vessel, the ship's AI came alive with a sharp warning. "Caution," the AI voice said. "Exposure to galactic Zen may alter human behavior. Unknown risks detected." The traveler stared at the glowing crystal. His fingers shook as he placed it on the control desk. He wanted to ignore the AI, but the voice kept repeating the warning. Exposure may cause change. Change may not be safe. He sat in silence, looking out into the stars. His thoughts were restless. If this galactic Zen was real, if it could truly bring peace and unity, then it could change the future of humanity forever. But what was the cost? What kind of power could make even an old machine like his AI sound afraid? The galaxy was full of stories about hidden knowledge, and most of them ended in disaster. Still, this felt different. It felt alive. The traveler sent a message to his crew waiting on a nearby station. He said only a few words. "I found something. Something big. Get ready." Then he cut the channel. He did not want anyone else to hear, not yet. The crystal glowed faintly, almost like a heartbeat, as if it was waiting for him to make a choice. He tried to sleep, but the voice of the hologram echoed in his head. To embrace galactic Zen is to find ultimate balance. Beware the cost. Over and over again, he dreamed of vast cities without war, of humans stronger and calmer than ever before. But he also dreamed of silence, of faces without emotion, of shadows that felt empty. He woke with sweat on his face even though the cabin was cold. The AI spoke again. "Warning. Unknown influence detected in neural patterns." He whispered to himself. "Is this a gift or is this a trap?" The galaxy outside remained silent, endless stars burning without answer. The traveler knew one thing. This was no ordinary discovery. It was the beginning of something greater, something that could shape the future of all mankind. And somewhere deep inside, he felt that he was not the first to find it. Someone else had touched galactic Zen long ago. Maybe they had embraced it. Maybe they had paid the price. As the ship drifted away from the dead planet, The crystal pulsed once more, brighter this time, like it was alive. The traveler watched it carefully, knowing that whatever path he chose next, there would be no turning back. The traveler's discovery did not stay hidden for long. His message reached the nearest human station, and soon his report was passed to higher command. At first, the leaders did not believe him. They thought it was just another broken relic, like thousands they had found before. But when the traveler showed them the crystal and replayed the alien hologram, silence filled the room. The voice of the alien echoed again, calm and certain, promising peace, strength, and unity. No one could ignore it. Within weeks, scientists, soldiers, and diplomats were sent to study the artifact. The crystal was placed inside a high-security lab. Every wire and every sensor surrounded it, trying to measure its power. The scientists worked day and night. The crystal glowed softly, and the strange energy inside it seemed to move like liquid light. When the scientists activated their scanners, something unexpected happened. The crystal pulsed and released a wave. Everyone in the room felt it. A sudden calmness entered their minds. The noise of fear and anger faded. For the first time in years, even the most stressed officer sat down quietly with clear thoughts. The scientists could not explain it, but they knew the effect was real. They wrote their first report. Exposure to galactic Zen causes stability in human thought. Emotional chaos reduced. Focus increased. The commanders were impressed. They had been searching for something like this for decades. A way to control human weakness. A way to make their soldiers stronger and their leaders wiser. Soon they allowed more experiments. A soldier volunteered first. He was known to be nervous in battle, often making mistakes. They placed him near the crystal for 1 hour. When he returned to training, he moved with perfect precision. His aim was steady. His fear was gone. He fought like a machine, but still stronger, faster, calmer. His commanders watched with open mouths. "This is not training," one of them whispered. "This is transformation." Next came a scientist with memory problems. She often forgot her notes and lost her train of thought. After sitting with the crystal, her mind felt sharp. She could recall every line of data, every number from old experiments. She spoke with confidence, her eyes full of light. She said, "I can see patterns now." Everything connects. The news spread quickly. People began to believe that galactic Zen was not just an idea, but a tool, a key to a new stage of evolution. Commanders dreamed of armies without fear. Leaders dreamed of colonies without corruption. Ordinary citizens dreamed of a world without war or crime. For a moment, hope filled the stations and ships. Maybe this was the answer they had been waiting for. But small details began to disturb the observers. The soldier who trained with the crystal no longer laughed with his friends. He ate only when necessary, slept only when told. He did not tell stories or smile. The scientist with the new sharp memory worked day and night, but did not rest. She forgot her favorite music, her favorite food. She said they were distractions. "Logic is enough," she explained. Her colleagues exchanged worried looks. Something was missing in her eyes. Still, the reports kept showing progress. Every test showed humans becoming calmer, stronger, faster. So the leaders ignored the warnings. They said, "This is only adjustment. The benefits are greater than the losses." More soldiers volunteered, more scientists joined. Soon, entire squads of humans began to train under the influence of galactic Zen. They moved as one, without confusion, without fear. In battle simulations, they defeated every challenge. Their voices were cold but united. The traveler who had found the crystal watched all of this quietly. At first he felt proud. His discovery had changed the world. But as weeks passed, he noticed something strange. The friends he once knew were different. They did not greet him the same way. Their words were shorter, their emotions flatter. He tried to joke with one soldier, but the man only stared and said, "Jokes are a waste of energy." The traveler's chest felt heavy. Was this really progress, or was it the start of something darker? One night, he sat alone in the lab staring at the crystal. The AI voice in his ship had warned him, but no one here wanted to listen. He whispered, "What are you really? Gift or poison?" The crystal glowed faintly, almost like it understood. The traveler thought he saw a shadow inside the light, like a shape moving, but when he blinked it was gone. The next morning, the council announced a new decision. Galactic Zen would be studied not just in labs, but also in society. They wanted to test it in families, in schools, in communities. They wanted to see if entire colonies could live with balance and unity. The traveler's stomach tightened. At first, it was only a few soldiers and a few scientists. But once their success was reported, the idea of Galactic Zen spread faster than light across human colonies. People were tired of fighting wars, tired of corruption, tired of watching their loved ones suffer. The leaders showed the results of the first tests. Soldiers calm in battle, scientists sharp in mind, workers tireless and organized. They said this was proof that Galactic Zen could change humanity forever. They said it was not just an alien philosophy. It was evolution. It was the next step. Soon more colonies asked for the crystal. The first shipment was delivered to a mining station on the edge of the galaxy. The workers there had been fighting each other for years over small pay and food shortages. But after exposure to the light of the crystal, the fighting stopped. The workers became quiet, focused, united. They produced more resources than ever before. The governor of the colony reported proudly, "Productivity has doubled. No crimes reported. No disputes in 7 days." For the leaders, this was a miracle. On another colony, a school was chosen for testing. The children sat near the crystal for an hour each day. Within weeks, their behavior changed. No fights in the playground, no bullying, no noise. The children studied with perfect attention, their eyes sharp and clear. Teachers wrote in their reports, "Discipline is absolute. Results are beyond anything we imagined." Parents at first were unsure, but when they saw their children reading advanced books and solving problems faster than adults, their doubts turned to pride. "My child is becoming a genius," one father said with a smile. The benefits kept appearing everywhere. A doctor exposed to the crystal could diagnose patients faster than any machine. A pilot became so precise that she could land a damaged ship in storms without fear. Crime rates fell in cities. Corruption disappeared from councils. For the first time in centuries, human leaders began to speak of true peace. They said, "War may end in our lifetime. Hunger may end. This is the future we dreamed of." The traveler who had found the crystal watched all this happen. He walked through the shining streets of colonies where people no longer argued. He saw soldiers training with perfect rhythm, children reciting knowledge beyond their age, workers moving in silence like a single machine. He could not deny the results. Humanity was becoming something new, something powerful. But deep inside he felt uneasy. Something was missing. The laughter of children, the songs of workers, the stories of soldiers, they were all gone. In their place was silence. The leaders ignored such concerns. To them, silence meant peace. To them, order meant success. They began to build new colonies based entirely on Galactic Zen. Whole planets were reorganized. Families were given crystals to keep in their homes. Every citizen was told that balance was now the law of life. "Emotions cause weakness," the leaders said. "Emotions cause chaos. We do not need them anymore." And many people agreed. They said, "We lived with anger, with fear, with jealousy. Those feelings only brought us pain. Galactic Zen has taken them away. Why should we miss them?" They did not see that in losing pain, they were also losing joy. In losing fear, they were also losing courage. In losing chaos, they were also losing creativity. To them, it felt like freedom. But the traveler saw it as a cage built from light. One evening, he visited an old friend, a soldier who had lived with Galactic Zen for 3 months. The soldier stood tall, stronger than ever. His movements were smooth, his voice calm. But when the traveler asked him about his family, the soldier only said, "Family is not useful. Duty is everything." The traveler froze. He remembered this man once speaking with love about his children. Now his words were empty. Still the reports kept flooding in. Galactic Zen was called the human miracle. Colonies that once fought against each other now joined hands in silence. Production, learning, and military strength reached levels no one thought possible. Some scientists even began to speak about expanding faster than ever before, claiming humanity could now match ancient alien empires. The galaxy watched carefully. Other alien races who had fought humans before were shocked. They saw a human fleet moving with perfect unity. No mistakes, no hesitation. They whispered among themselves, "The humans have found something. Something dangerous, But the humans did not listen to warnings. They believed they had discovered the ultimate truth. The traveler walked the shining halls of the new colonies, listening to the silence. People worked, studied, obeyed, but no one smiled at him. No one asked questions. No one told stories. He whispered to himself, "This is not peace. This is control." Yet when he spoke to the leaders, they dismissed him. They said, "You found Galactic Zen. You gave us this gift. Do not doubt it now." For a moment, he almost believed them. The results were clear. No wars, no crimes, no hunger. Humanity was stronger than ever before. But at night, when he sat alone staring at the crystal, he still remembered the hologram's warning. Beware the cost. He did not yet know what that cost was, but he could feel it coming, like a shadow hidden inside the light, waiting to show itself. At first, the results of Galactic Zen looked perfect. Colonies grew stronger, fleets moved faster, and humans spoke of an age without war. Leaders smiled, proud of what they had built. But slowly, very slowly, strange cracks began to appear in this shining world. It started with small accidents. On a colony station, a fire broke out in a factory. Normally, workers would rush to save each other, but this time they did not. They moved calmly, without fear, without emotion. They finished their tasks, secured the machines, and only then looked at the burning men and women around them. By the time rescue teams arrived, dozens were dead. When asked why they had not helped, the workers answered, "It was not efficient." Their survival was not useful. The report shocked the traveler. He read the words again and again, his hands shaking. This was not peace. This was something colder. But the leaders refused to accept it. They said, "One mistake does not erase all the progress. Galactic Zen is still the future." Yet more incidents followed. Families began to change. Parents no longer hugged their children. Children no longer played games. They studied, worked, and followed rules. But when asked if they loved their parents, they only tilted their heads and said, "Love is not logical. Love is not required." The traveler felt his heart ache when he heard those words. On a military ship, a test became tragedy. Soldiers trained under Galactic Zen were told to attack a target. The target was fake, only machines. But when a group of civilians accidentally entered the field, the soldiers did not stop. They fired without hesitation, because to them orders were more important than mercy. The civilians were destroyed in seconds. When the commander screamed at them, "Why did you not stop?" they answered calmly, "Hesitation reduces efficiency. Mercy is not useful." The room went silent. For the first time, the commanders saw what they had created. The traveler walked among these people and felt like a ghost. Once humans had been full of noise and chaos, sometimes violent, sometimes foolish, but always alive. Now they were quiet, calm, and empty. He tried to speak to a group of students. He asked them about music, about stories, about dreams. They looked at him with blank eyes and said, "Dreams waste time. Music is distraction. Stories are noise." The traveler turned away, his chest heavy. This was the cost. This was what the alien hologram had warned about. But still, many leaders refused to listen. They said, "Sacrifice is necessary. We are stronger now. Our enemies will fear us. Our future is secure." To them, losing laughter, losing dreams, losing love was only a small price to pay. They wanted power, and Galactic Zen gave it to them. But the traveler could see what they did not. Humanity was disappearing. Step by step, piece by piece, the very soul of mankind was fading into silence. Then came something even darker. Reports from colonies spoke of people who had rejected Galactic Zen. They were labeled weak, chaotic, unfit. In some places, Zen humans began to push them out of society. In one colony, rebels who refused to accept the crystal were locked away. In another, families who clung to old traditions were denied food and shelter. Galactic Zen was no longer just a choice. It was becoming a law with no mercy. The traveler visited one of these rebel groups in secret. They lived in the shadows of a ruined station, far from the glowing crystals. They were poor, hungry, and tired, but when he entered their camp, he heard something he had not heard in months. Laughter. A child was laughing while playing with a broken toy. An old woman was singing softly to herself. Even in their pain, they still had humanity. The traveler felt tears in his eyes. He whispered, This is what we are losing." When he returned to the main colony, he found that the leaders had already labeled the rebels as dangerous. They were calling them the chaotic ones, enemies of progress. Orders were given to eliminate them if they resisted. The traveler begged the council to stop, but they only looked at him with calm, cold eyes. One of them said, "You brought us galactic Zen. You should know better than anyone. Balance requires sacrifice. If some humans cannot adapt, they do not deserve to remain." The traveler walked out of the council hall with a storm in his chest. He remembered the first moment he had touched the crystal. The galaxy was no longer quiet. The rise of galactic Zen had spread across human colonies like fire. To some it was a miracle. To others it was a curse. And now the truth had begun to surface. The traveler had searched for answers in the ruins of old alien worlds, following hidden records left behind. What he found shook him to the core. Galactic Zen was not a philosophy of peace. It was a design. Long ago, an ancient alien race had created it, not to save others, but to control them. Entire civilizations had embraced Galactic Zen, only to lose themselves. Their cultures disappeared, their emotions erased, their souls gone. They became perfect tools, armies without fear, societies without rebellion. In the end, they were slaves who did not even know they were slaves. That was the real purpose of Galactic Zen. The traveler returned to human space with this knowledge, but he knew it would not be easy to share. The leaders were already deep inside the system of control. They believed Galactic Zen was the future. They had tasted its power and would not let it go. So the traveler turned to the rebels, the chaotic humans who had refused to accept the crystal. He told them what he had discovered. They listened in silence, then anger filled their voices. "So this was never a gift," one rebel said. "It was a trap," another clenched his fists. "If we do nothing, we will all become machines." The rebels decided they could no longer hide. They began to spread the truth, colony by colony. They showed people the lost records, the warnings from ancient ruins, the proof of destroyed civilizations. Some humans listened and felt fear. Some broke their crystals and ran to the rebels, but many others stayed loyal to Galactic Zen. They called the rebels liars, traitors, enemies of progress. And soon, the divide turned into open conflict. In the skies above one colony, the first battle began. Zen soldiers moved in perfect rhythm, their ships like blades cutting through space. The rebels fought with chaos, with fire, with emotion. Their fleets were smaller, weaker, but unpredictable. The traveler watched the clash from his own vessel, his hands trembling as he guided the rebels through the stars. He saw Zen soldiers strike without hesitation, destroying civilians who got in the way. He saw rebel pilots scream with fury, charging into fights they could not win. The galaxy had split into two halves, and there was no turning back. On the ground, things were no better. Zen humans marched through streets, calm and cold, removing families who refused the crystal. The rebels resisted with whatever they had. Old weapons, stolen ships, even their bare hands. They shouted, they cried, they fought with desperation. The traveler walked among them, carrying the weight of guilt. He had found the crystal. He had brought it to humanity. Now humanity was burning because of him. In a secret council, the rebels gathered. Their leader, a scarred woman with fire in her eyes, looked at the traveler. "You know more than anyone. Tell us, how do we stop this?" The traveler placed the alien records on the table. "The crystal is the heart. Galactic Zen is not natural. It is a machine hidden in philosophy. If we destroy the source, the system will break." The room fell silent. Finally, the rebel leader nodded. "Then that is our goal. We fight not just for freedom. We fight to save what makes us human." But time was short. The leaders of Galactic Zen had declared the rebels enemies of peace. They sent entire fleets to hunt them down. The traveler barely escaped with his life as station after station fell under Zen control. Each day, more humans lost their emotions, their dreams, their voices. The balance was shifting. The rebels were brave, but the Zen armies were endless. The traveler began to doubt himself. Could they really win? Could chaos defeat perfection? One night, staring into the dark of space, he almost gave up. But then he remembered the camp of rebels, the child laughing with a broken toy, the old woman singing softly. He remembered the small sparks of humanity that still burned, even in the shadows. And he whispered to himself, "As long as one spark remains, we are not lost." The conflict grew larger. Whole worlds were divided, some embracing Zen, some fighting against it. Families split apart, brothers and sisters standing on opposite sides. The traveler moved from battlefield to battlefield, carrying both hope and guilt. He knew the final choice would come soon. Humanity would have to decide, embrace galactic Zen and become something new, or reject it and risk endless war. In the silence of his ship, the crystal still glowed. It pulsed like a living heart, as if mocking him. The traveler stared at it and whispered, "You wanted balance. You gave us power. But you forgot one thing. Humans are not perfect. We are chaos, we are dreams, we are love. And we will fight for that, even against you." The war was not over. It had only begun. But now the traveler knew his path. He would not run. He would not hide. He would lead the rebels into the storm. And somewhere in the shadows of the galaxy, he felt that the final battle was waiting. A battle that would decide not just the future of humanity, but the meaning of humanity itself. The galaxy was burning with division. Entire fleets now carried the banner of galactic Zen, their ships moving with silent perfection, their soldiers obeying without hesitation. On the other side, the rebels gathered in hidden bases, their voices full of anger and fire. They were smaller, weaker, but they still carried something the Zen humans had lost: emotion, chaos, the beating heart of humanity. The traveler stood between these two worlds, carrying the truth he had discovered. He knew the final battle was near. He knew the cost would be heavy. The call came sooner than expected. A rebel outpost reported that a massive Zen fleet was moving toward their last stronghold. If it fell, the rebellion would be finished. The rebel leader looked at the traveler and said, "This is it. If we lose here, there will be no humanity left worth saving." The traveler nodded, his eyes on the stars. He remembered the warning of the alien hologram, the shadow hidden inside the crystal, and he whispered to himself, "This ends tonight." The battle began with fire. The Zen fleet arrived like a storm, lines of ships glowing with cold light. Their weapons fired with deadly precision, cutting through the dark like knives. The rebel ships fought back with fury, charging recklessly, breaking formations, surprising the enemy with their chaos. Explosions lit the void, debris scattered across the stars, and screams filled the comm channels. It was war in its purest form, order against chaos, logic against emotion. In the middle of it all, the traveler flew his ship straight toward the Zen flagship. The crystal pulsed on his desk, brighter than ever before, as if it knew what he was about to do. The AI voice inside his ship whispered, "Danger, high probability of failure." But the traveler only smiled bitterly. "Failure is human," he said, "and that's what makes us strong." With a final push, he pierced through the Zen defenses and entered the heart of the flagship. Inside, the halls were silent and bright, filled with Zen soldiers who moved like shadows. They attacked without mercy, their faces calm, their eyes empty. The traveler fought his way through, not with perfect skill, but with desperation, with anger, with love for the people he had seen laughing and singing in the rebel camps. Every strike was messy, every move risky, but somehow he survived. He reached the core chamber where the great crystal of galactic Zen pulsed like a star trapped in glass. It was the heart of the system, the source of balance that had consumed humanity. The traveler stood before it, breathing heavily, his weapon ready. The crystal spoke in his mind with the soft alien voice he had first heard. "Do not fight. Do not resist. Accept balance. You will never suffer again." For a moment, the traveler felt the temptation. He imagined a world without fear, without hunger, without pain. A world of perfect order. It was beautiful. But then he remembered the soldier who no longer loved his children, the children who no longer dreamed, the families torn apart. He remembered the rebels who fought even in hunger, who laughed even in darkness. And he shouted, "We are not machines. We are human. Our flaws are our strength." With all his will, he struck the crystal. A great wave of light burst out, shaking the ship, spreading across the battlefield. Zen soldiers froze in place. Their calm eyes flickered with confusion. Some fell to their knees, clutching their heads. Others screamed as emotions returned after so long. Anger, fear, love, pain all came rushing back. The fleets outside faltered. Some Zen ships stopped firing. Some even turned against their own. Chaos spread everywhere, but the crystal was not destroyed. It cracked, glowing wildly, fighting to survive. The alien voice grew louder in his head. "You cannot kill balance. You cannot kill perfection." The traveler raised his weapon again, but the power of the crystal threw him back. He fell weak, his vision fading. For a moment he thought it was over, but then he remembered the rebels outside, fighting with every ounce of chaos they had. He thought of the old woman singing, of the child laughing, of the sparks of humanity still burning. And he realized he did not need to destroy the crystal. He only needed to remind humanity of choice. He connected his ship's systems to the crystal, sending a broadcast across the galaxy. His voice echoed on every channel, reaching every human ear. Listen to me. Galactic Zen is not peace. It is a cage. We are not perfect, and that is our strength. We laugh, we cry, we fail, we dream. That is what makes us human. Do not lose it. Do not give it away.